Let's learn how to use Tattler lids.
This is our journey. Welcome to the Betancourt's homestead.
But first we're going to learn how to take them off. You're gonna have to look at the Tattler lid. Now, it's got little indents. Do you see that? This little point here and this little point here, it's got this indent right here. So it's pretty thick plastic here and it's really thin right here. And this is what you're gonna look for. You're looking for the little divot part right here that's thin. And this is how you're gonna do it. You're gonna find that thin part. See where you have it right here and it's really thin right there? You're gonna take that thin part. You're going to take the non-sharp side, the rounded side. You're gonna put it here and you're gently, because you don't want to upset the rubber ring. Gonna put it between the rubber ring and the plastic and lift it up just like that. Let's do another one. So I'm looking. Do you see where it is? Right here and right here. This is going to be the thin part. Put this rounded part right here. Push in with this hand and push in with this hand and pull up. There you go. Okay, let's do some more. I got to open them all. These were a fail. I'm saving. So I'm going to put there. Push, push, twist up. Do one more, and then we're going to learn how to put them on. There we go. I'll be back in a minute. Just so that you know, both of these things are good for 10 uses. These you can use over and over, but you're going to want to replace the rubber rings after 10 uses. How you determine how many times you've used a ring, that's up to you. That is totally up to you. Okay, now we are ready to cap. I have my rings and my lids, my rubbers, and that sounds really weird, and my lids off to the side in some warm water. That's it. So you put the ring on this, you put it down on clean rims, clean them. I cleaned them before. You're gonna back twist it until you get it sitting perfectly straight. You're gonna take 2 fingers, you're gonna put them on the jar really lightly, and you're gonna start twisting with this hand. And when the jar starts to move, see how it's moving? You stop. And let's do that again. Put the ring right there, put it down. Back until it's, and then we just twist. Got it in, put it on. Now, when they come back it until it is, there we go. Now when they come out, you're gonna put a hot pad underneath and you're gonna put a hot pad here and you're gonna twist them closed. Now these are the normal lids. For new canners, I'm gonna tell you this. This is how I do the ball lids. I go up like this, on, and just a 1/16 of a turn. Should we do that again? You don't want to crank. That's when your lids go up at the top. You just want to make it snug connect with the rubber. Now, this is different for ball. Superb has a much larger, thicker rubber ring right here, the rubber right here. So for Superb, you do exactly what you did for the Tattlers, or so I am told, and my research has showed me. That is what it's like. This one is interesting. When your lids get rusty, it's really hard to tell because it's hard for it to move. When those come out, I will definitely come back on and show you the whole tighten down mode. There you go. Oh, this stuff is good. This stuff is dangerous. It's time to take them out, and let me show you what you have to do. This is the part I don't like. This is actually why I don't use them, but I want to learn to use them because they're reusable. You take it out, I put it on a pot holder, and then you tighten it down. I don't grab it by the rings, I grab it by the side of the jar. You tighten it down. And you tighten it down. And there, that's it. That's all there is to it. About 12 years ago, I did a cost comparison of the ball lids and the Tattler lids. And it turned out that the Tattler lids were, per the 10 uses, 5 cents more per lid than the ball lids were. And they were 5 cents cheaper. And for 5 cents cheaper, I was like, I'm just gonna do the ball lids because I did not like twisting them in the hot water or whatever. I've gotten used to that. I've gotten used to that. We get used to things, right? And for 5 cents a jar, I could live with it because it is cheaper. It does. It's probably much cheaper now. I have not done the cost figures for that at this point in time. I might do that this winter when I have nothing to do. My husband laughs whenever I say that. He goes, when do you have nothing to do? Yeah, right. He's got a point. However, I do like the fact that they're reusable. I do like the fact that I can just order replacement rubber seals, the gaskets, instead of having to buy all new lids, and the fact that I'm only throwing a little tiny rubber gasket away as opposed to a whole entire lid. I actually don't throw them away. I reuse them in the garden and for all kinds of things. You should really see the electrical part of it. My father-in-law uses them for electrical work. That's scary. And it's in my shop. But anyways, that's what I've got. This stuff is actually really good. It is actually really good. Yeah. The addition of the vanilla with the blueberries and the apple, superb. And to the person that had the question about the Tattler lids and wanted me to show, you're new to canning. If you need anything, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. We're all in the same community. We're all putting food up for our families, and we all want our families to live healthy lives. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Bye, you guys. Now you know what I know. We're gonna geek out just a little bit. Why? Because you guys started it by asking a question. So remember Tattler lids? It was the video we just did. Well, I've been using Tattler lids for about 12 years now, and let me tell you what I discovered, because when I was doing the pie filling, I'm being totally honest with you, when I went to go take the rings off and check and make sure the seals were good, because you don't hear a ping with Tattler lids. There is no ping. So you have no clue if they're sealed except by doing the lift test, because they are literally hard, non-flexible pieces of plastic. However, I have canned blackberries when I was testing them, because when we bought them like 12 years ago, I started testing them and I was canning blackberries, which I always have a ton of on this land, so it wasn't like a really big loss. And I took a dozen blackberry jars of blackberries, quarts, and I put them in the back of a storage shed, and every year we went and we would just take one out. And it was 6 years. It was actually the year that we moved in here, so it was probably 8 years, that we literally were opening up the remaining blackberries, and they were still good, and they still smelled amazing, and they looked great, and the seals were strong. So that's when we were like, yeah, we're gonna start using them and incorporating them. But here's what I'm finding. So a lot of times I always wondered, like, how would I know when the rubbers were bad? Like, how would I know? Like, forgive me, but how would I know when a rubber doesn't seal correctly and I have an accident? I can tell you, because I just figured it out. Because those three jars, I always try to do 3 or 4 of my canning session with Tattlers, because I don't give those away. And I always like to be able to give food away. If I've made something and somebody likes it, I want to be a bit, because I don't always get the lids or the jars back. Let's face it, if somebody gives you something, always make sure you return the jars. Literally, I don't care if they're empty, but I want the jars and the lids, no matter what kind of lid. I want them all because I reuse them in different ways. So anyways, this is what a really good, I have a case of each of these, right? This is what a really good rubber, just feels really weird saying that, looks like. Look at the color. And this is what a non-good old rubber looks like. Like literally, do you see the bending? Do you see how pliable it is and it isn't? Like that is, there you go. Let's look at it's cloudy. When I opened them up, because I've been using these were the ones we bought 3 years ago, and these are the ones that I've been using. Well, it happened that when I went to go in and grab a box, actually this box, I grabbed it and I started using it. And when I opened it up, I was like, those rubbers don't look like they're very fresh. That's kind of interesting. I like typical fashion when I go to research something, or I always buy 1 or 2 and then I play around with them. Well, I bought 2 cases of each and I was playing around with them. This was 12 years ago. These are 12 years old. And yeah, they're old. So let's look at the difference between regular mouth. Look at the color. And look at the color of the 12-year-old ones. Look at the pliability. Look at how one of them wiggles. I feel so silly doing this, right? But look, see? You can definitely tell one of them is much more pliable and floppier, and one of them is not floppy. One of them's more floppy than the other. But anyways, I wanted to point that out. So that is how you're going to know when they're no longer going to be good. So I'm going to continue using the good boxes. I just went through all of my boxes, and only 2 of each. Now, that doesn't mean that these are bad. These aren't bad. I just need to buy a replacement of these. And guess what? They sell a replacement of these for the same exact price as buying a case of regular ball jar lids, just the lids, right? So just to spend the money, I'm going to order replacement. I'm going to order rubbers. I'm going to order the replacements for these, so that I have them on hand. And yeah, so I guess every few years I'll just order replacements, as opposed to ordering jars or ordering lids every year, right? There is definitely a difference. There is definitely a difference in the color and the feel. Like this feels very stiff and not, I knew it wasn't going to seal when I did it. Anyways, I'm going to stop rambling. I just wanted you guys to see the difference. Like these feel so soft. These not so much. These not so soft anymore. These are soft. These are not going to stand up. These are at attention now. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to get going because yeah, I need to place an order for rubbers. Welcome into my mad scientist office, where calculator, old-fashioned calculator, old-fashioned pad of paper, and a very fun pen is figuring out the cost of Tattler lids for us. Because you guys put me on a rabbit trail and I dived into the hole. We are now into the nitty-gritty ground of the rabbit trail of what is the cost per lid on the jars compared to the reusable ball canning lids. Now, I'm using the reusable ball canning lids, and stick with me, this is why I'm doing the reusable, because it's what basically everybody has been using. So the Superb lids are out there, and they are a one-time use lid, and they are more expensive, but they are better than the ball because so far from what I'm hearing, they're going to give you a better seal. The Pure lids I don't even bother using because when they first came out, a bunch of my friends went out and bought them and they tried them out and they had horrible sealage. I would like somebody that has a case, unopened case of Pure canning quart wide mouth jars to measure them for me. If anybody is out there and has the ability of measuring the poundage of a unopened case of Pure wide mouth quart jars, I would appreciate that, because I don't have them, so I can't attest to what they would weigh. So let's get down to the nitty gritty of it, people, because I'm actually pleasantly surprised, and I was just placing my order for the replacement rings that we talked about in the earlier video. I'll link that to this one, and this is what I have. I should probably say that when I do these videos, I don't edit them, and you hear my ramble with my thought. So don't be commenting below going, oh, you could have just told us that in such shorter form than this, because you're hearing my ramblings, my thoughts that are going into it. And some people do enjoy that. If you don't have to watch, just swipe away. I had way too much coffee today, so let's get going. Now, I'm going to premise this with, I did one case, cardboard case of regular and wide mouth. I did not do the bulk purchasing of either types of jars because you can purchase bulk pricing for ball canning jars. You also can purchase bulk pricing for Tattler, where you literally buy a box and they throw all the plastic pieces in and the rubber ring gaskets in. That's it. Like, you literally can buy a case of that. These I did as if you were going to the store and you were picking up one box of wide and one box of regular in both ones. So the Tattler lids, a box of wide is $11.95 off their website. That makes it 99 cents a lid and gasket. Now, because there's a dozen in them. Now, for Walmart, it's $4.95 for a dozen ball canning lids. Not the rings, nothing, just the canning lids. The regular Tattler lids is $10.95 for a dozen. That's not the rings, just the plastic and the gasket. And that's 91 cents per a cent, 91 cents for one, right? Because you're dividing by 12. So the regular at Walmart, my Walmart where I go, is $3.97 a dozen. This is like doubled, like literally it's doubled in price in the last few years. Now, the last time I did these calculations, it showed that it was 5 cents cheaper to do the Tattler lids per canning session, but I just wasn't into I don't know. I still liked Ball. Ball was still making a really good, and that was like 14 years ago, people. The last time I did this was 14 years ago. So it turns out to be wide mouth is 41 cents every time you put one of the little metal on top of a jar, and regular is 33 cents. So if you have a failure, you're like into a massive failure. Like if you do a thing of jam for 12 jars of jam, you automatically out the door, if you're doing regular, you're $3.97 short. I mean, we have to look at that as a cost. Like if we fail on jams, we automatically just threw $4 away, right? Okay, so Tattlers. If the one-time purchase, this is where it gets really interesting. So if you're looking at a wide mouth, every time you can, a wide mouth jar, if you're using Ball, you're putting 41 cents on top of that jar. Now, every time I use, just buying up the box off the shelf, every time I use that one-time purchase of the Tattler lids, because each lid and gasket has about a 10 uses to it. The lids have ultimate until they break, but the gaskets are about 10 times. That's 9 cents. 9 cents. If 99 cents, I use it 10 times, that means it's 9 cents. every time I put those two contraptions on a jar, as opposed to the 41 cents. But here's where it gets more interesting. So the plastic is still good. I mean, the plastic is still good. It's BPA free, people. It's BPA free. The plastic is still good. So when my rubbers, after 10 to 15 years, they say the average age of the gaskets is 10 to 15 years. So when my gaskets need to be replaced, the box of wide mouth gaskets is $5. A box of regular mouth gaskets is $4.75. So, and those are for a dozen. So it's 41 cents for a box for each gasket of wide mouth, and 39.40 cents for each gasket of a regular mouth. Now stick with me. So if I'm just buying the replacement gaskets after my initial 10 years of using these, and I'm keeping the plastic, that makes, every time I put that contraption on my jars, that makes it 4 cents for a wide mouth instead of the 41 cents. And that makes it 4 cents for the regular mouth. It's 0.0395, we'll just say 4 cents, as opposed to the 33 cents. I think I know which one I'm looking at. Yeah, I think I need to place a bigger order. But then again, I won't give these away. Like literally, I don't let these go out of my house. However, if I was to buy all of the plastics that I have for every jar that I have, which means I need to do an inventory of all my jars, which is going to scare the crap out of me because I really don't want anybody to know, including my husband, how many jars I actually have. And I buy a rubber, the rubber gaskets every 3 to 5 years. Say I buy 200 rubber gaskets every year, and I just keep doing that every year, just 200 gaskets every year, and keep going through those, I will have massively saved a ton of money. Like I shouldn't even calculate that. You know, this is like the day that I calculated how much my Starbucks addiction was. You really ready for this one? Because I'm not sure I'm really ready for this one. Okay, Tattler lids, wide mouth. If I'm buying the rubber gaskets, 200 rubber gaskets every year is going to be $8.32. If I am buying 200 rubber gaskets of the regular mouth, it's $7.90. So think of that as 200 lids, right? Now, if I go to Ball and I buy 200 wide mouth lids, it's going to be $82 at the current price. If I go and I buy 200 regular mouth lids, it's $66. As opposed to $8.32 and $7.90. There you go. I just figured out the math, and I just figured out what I got to do. I should place the order before I post this. If you are concerned about the plastic that is used instead of the metal, they also make a metal disposable lid, but it still needs the gasket. You can read their website. They have all of the information of the type of plastics, what's in it, what it's made out of, and everything like that. If you want to know anything about the type of gasket material that they use, they have that all on their website, so you can go check that out. You can kind of tell by their website that they've been hounded a lot because they put all the information up there. And the way I was reading it was like somebody really hounded them. The website for that is reusablecanninglids.com, just in case you wanted it. And to be further, I have never ordered these from Amazon or bought them in a store. I've always gone directly to the website. Now you know what I know, which I'm flabbergasted. Oh my God. What do you say we open a package that has been sitting in the garage for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, probably 3 weeks? Remember when I placed that order, I told you the price comparison of the Tattler lids, and then I told you when I uploaded it, don't worry, I already placed my order. Yeah, I had already placed my order, and by that Friday, because I think it was Wednesday that I placed it, but by that Friday, it came. Like the literal box came. I would like to let you know that UPS left it out in the rain, but there was another box on top of it. That box got totally soaked. Thanks, UPS. But this box, it was wet, but I left it in the garage because it was wet, and then I just got really, really busy. They are tape happy, just like Pack Fresh USA. Let's just say. So we're going to open it up, and then I'm going to talk to you about what it is all about. What did I order? At this point in time, even I have forgotten. However, I do know I am discovering a lot of really cool uses for Tattler lids. And my husband's like making these comments and I'm like, ooh, we should try that. And I'm going to show and demo you some things that I'm going to think is going to change your mind and you're going to want these. Because, yeah, or at least some version of reusable lids. Not sponsored at all, not at all. I will have to say that when I was placing the order, I did ask a question that you guys had asked, and we're going to do a video on how they recommended, they agreed with the person that commented about how to store the rings, and we'll talk about all kinds of things. We'll also talk about these rings in another video. I don't want to make it too long, like it could get boring, right? I do geek out and I can get very boring. I do know that. I also know that I am priceless entertainment for some people, so let's just go with it and keep going. I'll pick that up before Trinity gets home, trust me. Okay, what did I order? I ordered a twin pack of 100 replacement rubber rings, 50 regular, 50 wide. 50 wide, 50 regular. Yep, I ordered 50 count seal lock disposable wide mouth rings and 50 count disposable regular mouth metal ring. Okay, so I ordered 2 orders. Like I ordered a replacement, some bands, and then I placed another order, and they called me and said, can we combine these orders? And I was like, oh yes, please, please, please. So I think we have 2 orders sitting here. Yes, we do. 500 mixed bulk, 250 regular and 250 rubber rings mixed. People, if you're gonna go big or go home. Like, we are literally going to be transforming at least 50% of all my canning will be the reusable lids, because at 4 cents a lid, you can't go wrong. Now, what are my other lids going to be? Pretty much superb. Like, I'm totally getting away from ball. I do need to place an Azure order. Probably should have done that before I made this video, but you know, hey, let's go for it. So, whoa, 250 regular. Look at how they did that. So these are, and I'm gonna have to find a whole storage solution for this. You do know that, right? Like, I'm gonna have to do a whole storage solution. So there's my 250 regular. And here is my $250 white mouth. I literally should have ordered more after what I discovered that I can also do with them. Literally, I'm thinking to myself, and my husband's even like, you know, you're gonna want more. And I'm like, oh gosh, these are gonna be like potato chips, aren't they? Yeah, these are gonna be like potato chips. But that was not all, because you know when people have new things, I always have to try the new things. Nobody else is here. I'll just clean it all up. Okay, so let me get my bearing. This order has been fulfilled. It is right there. Next order. This is the order that we need to talk about. So it was the complicated one. It was the one, I want to try these. So the 100 replacement rubber rings, 50 regular and 50 wide. That was just replacing what I had used, right? That was just replacing the ones that I needed to replace. So that's there. But this is the cool thing. So 50 wide and 50 regular, no big deal, right? I can use them on anything, but this is what we're excited about. Like, we're excited. These are disposable. I'm not really sure about the whole thing with disposables, but it's new and I wanted to try it. And I also thought it would work for something in another scenario that I use rings for. And then and that'll be for another video. Trust me, you're going to want to follow me, because what I have discovered is absolutely mind-blowingly changing, like life-altering. Oh my gosh, it does that? Seriously? This is forever changing everything. And I really should place another order. I should place another order. Maybe I'll wait. I really need a job. Like, I need to take, but my husband tells me you can't take a job because we make more money with you staying home, which is true. I do make more money with me staying home. I should probably work more at making more money staying home, huh? Okay, so I'm just trying to get into this thing. Be right back. I'm like literally walking around the house with a flashlight, freaking out because I hear water. That's a fly. And trying to figure out where the water's coming from. I have the diffuser. I have my essential oil diffuser going. Of course you're gonna hear water. It's bubbling. Okay, back to reading. Proof I am way blonder than my husband pays for me to be. So this is what is so exciting. The one-time use metal canning lids. I don't know why I'm so excited about these because they're disposable, but I'm going to read up on them and we're going to use them because I think we're going to hear the ping. The only thing I really don't like about the Tattler plastic lids is you don't hear a ping, and they have a slightly higher failure rate than the regular ones. Although now that I take Ball's new design into consideration, they have a better failure rate than Ball. So, but I wanted to play around with these. And why would they only be disposable? So we're gonna play around with these because I got enough to literally play with. Aren't you excited? I am so excited. I just want to let you know that my order came, and it came with instructions, and we're going to keep playing around with them because, yeah, it saves a lot of money. And So in the future, look for videos on using the disposable lids and the rings, and how to properly store the rings, and new fun things we can use with these that I didn't think we would be able to use them for. And my failure rings, how I'm going to test and see if it's the fact that I did the lids wrong, or if the rings actually need to be replaced. So there you go. Now you know what I know. I'm gonna get going because yeah, I gotta clean up all that paper because they're on the way home and I threw everything. Bye, you guys. And now I need to figure out how to organize all this stuff. Oh my gosh, and literally, if you knew, I had just organized all of my canning lids and rings and jars. Now I'm back to square one. These are actually, something I just wanted to add, these are actually the original reusable lids from 1976. And why in 1976? Why have they been around so long we didn't hear about them? In the early 70s, they had a canning lid shortage, just like we had in 2021, a canning lid shortage. And these people answered the call to the canning lid shortage by making a reusable canning lid. And they've been around all that time making lids and just sitting off on the sideline while Ball's been taking all of the credit, right? I've been using them for 14 years now. And I actually discovered them in a book that I was reading called 299 Days. It was a book series. And in the book series, the person was using the Tattler lids. I thought it was very interesting and I started looking into it. So that's how long I've been using these. There you go. Apple spice blends. I love the way you think, right? So I did place a second order, and after I placed a second order, I sent the company an email asking them, gave them your suggestion and told them that you had suggested this, and then asked them what would be the best way to store them. And they literally got back to me. They said the food saver suggestion would work. Also, in baggies or a plastic tub, they suggest not to store the rubber rings in a damp, musty environment. And they said do simmer the rubber rings before each use. That is also suggested to make them more pliable and ensure a good seal. So yes, I did send the question to them, and they replied back. They also called me because I placed 2 orders, you guys. I really thought this was very nice of them. I placed 1 order replacing the rubber rings, which they say they last from 12 to 15 years. These were 14 years old. So they were at the end of their life cycle. But I do like the suggestion of every other year ordering a third or a half, probably a third or a fourth of the amount of jars that I have, the rings. Like I can't use Tattler lids solely because I do give some away. Although I could just start keeping a notebook on who I give jars to. And if you don't give my jars back, then you don't ever get anything else, right? I could go that hardcore. But I do like the idea that we were talking about earlier of ordering a certain set every year or every other year, just to keep a fresh batch on hand. And the reason why I think that is because I don't ever want to get left without anything. And a lot of people I know were buying these and setting them aside in case anything ever happens. And I really think that that's the wrong way of thinking about it, because you have to use your supplies. Like if you're storing any food or keeping anything for long-term storage or anything, you have to use it. If you want me to get more on that, let me know, but you have to use your stuff. You have to rotate through things. So that's why I'm thinking maybe every few years buying a few amount so that I can at least keep replenishing the stock, and as they get old and die out, that way I don't have to have a big purchase all at once. But yeah, I was really impressed. They also I placed 2 orders. I don't know if I told you this. I placed 2 orders. One just before I did the video, the calculations, and then another one after I did the calculations. My husband called me and he says, "What are you up to?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh, did you buy more?" And I'm like, "Already, honey, already." I just got off the phone with him. They actually called me and said, "We see that you placed 2 orders. Would you like us to combine them?" I thought that was really nice of them. I thought that was very nice of them. Then they called me back because they have a sale going on right now. Like there is a sale going on until the 31st of October. They called me back and they said, "Oh, by the way, if you order $100, you get 25% off and there's free shipping. But because you ordered $76, you didn't get your 25% off that, but we're combining the orders, so do you want?" And I'm like, yeah, yes, please. Yes, please. So what company does that? Like literally, what company does that? Tattler does. Talk to you guys later. Let's play with Tattler lids. I want to show you something that I just discovered. And it's life-changing. Well, it's going to save me a lot of money, and for that, I love. So, let's grab some Tattler lids. And I'm canning dry goods. Some people call it dry canning. Some other people get very upset when people call it dry canning. Stay calm. I'm not calling it dry canning. I'm saying I'm canning dry goods. I have 1 rubber gasket. How am I going to seal it, you might ask? Oh yes, just wait. I forgot the lid. Made my lid while I was waiting for it. Do you know how much money that saves us? Because I always save my lids. And with all of the canning lids that I use, these are all the ones that I have left. Like I reuse the lids over and over and over again. These are the ones that I have. So I'm like constantly using lids. They're 41 cents a lid. This one right here, 4 cents. And does this even count as one of the seals? So I'm now, this is why I'm gonna buy more, because I'm now gonna be using Tattler lids for all of my canning of dry goods. There you go. Don't forget to label, right? Don't forget to label. Yeah, this is a game changer, people. It's a game changer. These lids were getting expensive. Now you know what I know. Okay, and just because we need to talk about it, as with any jar of dry goods that I have vacuum sealed, I always put a ring on it and pop it down. Why? Because sometimes they do come unsealed, not because of the seal's fault, but because there wasn't enough vacuum pressure in there. So I just always put a seal, just in case it comes unsealed. Double protection. There you go. You can also add an O2 absorber, but this is short term. I mean, like this will be gone in a week. Some of you wanted to know how I was going to package these things. Let me show you. Costco had a sale. I was waiting for a sale from Costco. So they have these bins. There's 4 of them. I've already used one. And they come with lids and they lock. This is what I love about it. It locks down. So let me get started on this and I'm going to show you exactly what I am going to do. Organizing is my drug of choice. You're probably asking what this all is. These are the Tattler lids. The wide mouth, the regular mouth. There's like 500 in them in here. And the gaskets. So let's get going. Of course we have to grab the old way that I used to store them and put them all together because, you know, they need to be all together. So I'm going to organize them, and then I will come back and I will show you exactly how I have done it and why I did it the way I did it. Time for a book on tape. So this is what I have. You can throw them all in and have them just be bare, but when you get to the larger ones, it's really hard to fit a whole bunch of them in here. And quite frankly, I'm gonna want to be able to count to see how many I have. So now I've got to figure out how to do that. And I think I have mastered it. So I have a whole bunch of old containers, and I can fit 20 lids in a container if I modify the container. So let me show you what I have done. I took this back flap that's really tall and I cut it down. I have my thing. I'm taking this back flap and I am taping it to the front. Then I am taping all the seams so that it sits upright. So I have tape here and inside, tape here and inside, and tape here. And some of you are probably going, that's way too much work. I like when I look at something, my brain needs to see that this is an ADHD thing. My brain needs to see that there is a rhyme and reason for things and that things are neat and in their place. So if I do this once and I spend the time, then all I have to do when I've got some out of the dishwasher, I take it, plop them in, and I go. And I know exactly how many I have. So I'm gonna keep working on this and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, I've got the main things organized, the lids, the caps, but what about the seals, the gaskets? How would you organize those? Now, one of you guys made an amazing comment because I have found that they last me about 10 to 11 years and then they just stop sealing. Okay, so I have gaskets that are 2 years old and I have gaskets that are 12 years old. The 12-year-old ones do not seal anymore. I literally threw them away. They're like in the trash right over here. But one of you guys made a comment about if we stored them in a food saver bags and we sucked the air out of them and we kept them in an airtight environment, if that would keep them longer. And I passed that comment on to Tattler and they said yes, that could very well work and would be a good way to store them. So let me show you what I have been doing. I have two different ways of doing it, and I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to do it this way. So I took the food saver bags and I cut them, sealed them, and then I put 30 of them in. And I've labeled 30 regular 2021. So I have them labeled. I know the year that I bought them in, right? And it's only going to work until I actually start using them in rotation. But as I'm using the rotation, when they stop sealing, then I'll start throwing those away and I'll start bringing in another pack to start using. So that's my theory behind it. That's my theory behind it. Now, I don't like this way. It has sucked out way too much of the air and it's warped. So I'm going to open this up and I'm going to reseal it under the moist setting. The moist setting has just taken out most of the air, and I might even try and figure out manually if I can do it manually. But this is the setting that I like. So I'm going to fix this one, and this is the machine I'm using. A lot of you guys have asked about this machine. I love it. I bought it on Amazon Prime. I have it linked in my Amazon store. So it holds all the sizes of bags here. It's got a little port with a little marinade thing. I don't use it. It's got the tray here and it's got all the buttons here. And this is what I have been doing these with. So I'm actually going to put these in bags of 50 and then date them as in the date that I bought them. And then I'll get going and show you how I've done everything else. I'm done. Let me tell you what I got here. Eventually, sometimes I'll label them, but not right now. We have about 300 smalls. I went through and grabbed all of the small lids, and then the wide ones are in here. And there's probably about 200, maybe 175 wide ones there. Okay, that's all that those would fit. Locked on, tight, and sweet. And then we have the rest of the wide lids in here in the little containers, and we have a couple of the remainder of the wide ones. Let me bring you around so you can see. Now these are the containers that were on sale at Costco. I'm not sure if they're still on sale, but this is the regular mouths, this is the wide mouths. I modified the containers. And these are the bands. I've 50 in each one, and I dated, labeled, and everything, and I put them right down in here. And we're gonna put this lid on. Let me show you the next one because that's the one I'm excited about. So every time I go out to the garage, one hand gets all the rings that I need. I grab a case of jars, I grab a box of lids, and I come in the house. Usually it takes me two trips. Usually it takes me 2 trips. I have to get the canner too. But wouldn't it be so cool if you just had one box full of an assortment of lids with the rings? Let me introduce you to my grab and go canning box. I have, each one of these has 10 rings in it. So I have 10 rings and 10 rings. I have the regular lids, the wide lids or tops. I have extra metal here. And I have, because I use both, and I have the regular mouth and the wide mouth, and then all of this. And then these are the next up to be used gaskets, right? And the ones that I'm actively using are in Ziploc bags. That way, I can just grab and go. What do you think? I think that's great. I think it's great. So I grab the case of jars and that I'm using, and I grab this. And then I just replenish it as I go, right? I'm thinking it's gonna work. I'm thinking it's gonna work. Now you know what I know. Yes, I know. I am an organizational freak. I'm gonna go put these on the shelves, and then I'm gonna be probably sitting down because I'm exhausted. Yeah. Bye, you guys. I just went out to go put everything on the shelf and make it nice and pretty, and when I moved a container, I found more lids, and I don't have any place to organize them. This is just so not fair. Okay, I admit it's a good problem to have, but it's still a problem. Okay, one box just for the gaskets, one box for the extras, and my grab and go box. Okay, I found a solution.